Welcome to another episode of Nigerian Kitchen, the tiny Nigerian kitchen. Today in this episode, I'm going to be making two types of Nigerian corned beef stew. The first will be using corned beef straight out of a tin, and the other will be using corned beef, which I processed myself at home, 10 days in a brine to preserve it, and then 2 days in a sous vide water bath to cook it, 12 days in total. And I'm going to be comparing which one of these stews tastes better. That's right, today I am making two types of corned beef stew. I say today, actually, I should say this episode, because this episode is going to stretch across 12 days. Why? Because I'm going to be trying to brine or preserve beef myself and make corned beef. For most of my life, I always thought corned beef was something you just got from a tin. I've only recently learned that the corned is actually from the traditional way of preserving the beef. So corned actually was the big bits of salt, I think years and years, I don't know, hundreds of years ago, they used to use to preserve the beef. So I'm making a brine. Well, I say making, in fact, I've already made the brine because I'm going to speed things up a bit, right? We're spending 12 days to do this. Now, a lot of people, when they make brine, they use what's called Prague powder, and there's two types. And Prague powder has got salt and then something called nitrite. Now, you don't need nitrite to preserve meat if you're just preserving over a few days, 2 or 3 days. But anything longer, like I'm doing, which is a 10-day brine preserve. Nitrite helps you to stay safe. I know many people who don't want to use it, but honestly, if you're going to preserve for that long, it's actually safer to use it. So I've already done a mix, which is basically salt, some nitrite. I can't get Prague powder here in Hong Kong, so I've had to get hold of some nitrite, just pure, and make the mix myself. And you need such a small amount. You have to be really careful if you're using it by itself. I recommend just use the Prague powder because it's already been mixed to the right levels. I've used some brown sugar in here, and I've put a little bit of cinnamon just to, I guess, add a little aromatic, something a little bit different in there. But mainly you just need the salt and the nitrite to preserve. The sugar helps to balance out a little bit the salt. So I made that mix. I will put in the description the quantities. And I'm taking this and then I mixed it in with 2.5 liters of water. I've stirred it around and made sure all of the preserving salts and sugars and so forth have dissolved and made this beautiful brine. All that's left is to take my beef brisket. I've got 1 kilogram, so it's 1 kilogram of beef brisket to 2.5 liters of water, to the measurements I'm going to put in the description for the preserving mix to make this brine. Okay, so we're just going to put our beef into the giant Ziploc. Okay, let me see if I can add the brine without spilling it everywhere. So, the rest, yes! Okay, so the beef and the brine in the Ziploc. And there we are. This is now ready to sit for 10 days. So guys, I will see you back in 10 days and hopefully we'll have some beautiful preserved beef ready to start the cooking process. See you then. Okay, so that's 10 days gone past. You can see I'm in different clothes. I've grown a beard and hopefully my meat is cured. Let's get inside and have a look. I had a little puncture in my original bag, so I had to double bag this. Whoa, let's have a look. This is sign of a good cure. You can still see some red pinkness in the meat, which means it's taken in the cure. It's not smelling off, it's not brown. I think we've got a good cure there. Yes, we're on the way to corned beef. The next stage now, after 10 days, is 2 more days of cooking. I'm now gonna stick this in a water bath, so let's get all of that ready. Okay, so here's my water bath that I'm going to be using to cook our corned beef, our preserved beef, 48 hours, 2 whole days. Because I'm cooking it for that long, I'm going to double bag just to make sure I don't get a split in one of the bags and all the water gets in. So I'm just going to take my first bit of beef, place it in there, my second bit of beef, like so. I can't wait 2 more days to try this. I'm so excited. So I've got enough beef to put into 2 bags. So first thing is to seal this, and we want to try and create a vacuum. Then I'm going to put this in the water and sink it to expel most of the air. Finish the seal, there we go. So we've managed to seal our beef. So I'm going to put it in a second bag and do the same thing, so it's double sealed. Now plunge this inside the water. There we go, double sealed. Let's do that with a second. Yay! Okay, I want to try and use this to help me keep the bags in place so they don't float around. Cover this up. Now I'm going to be using the Joules sous vide unit. And what I love about this is, first of all, it's really small, compact, but it's got a lot of power. And actually I'm going to look through. Let's go for beef, basic steak, alternate steak, burger, flavor packed from scratch corned beef. I think that's the one I want. 48 hours, there we go, perfect. So let's set the temperature. 60 degrees Celsius. For those of you who might be watching from the US, it won't make that much of a difference. So start my Joule. The water is currently at 27 degrees and I'm just going to press start. So as soon as it hits 60 degrees, the timer will start. Excited. Okay guys, see you in 2 days time. Hey guys, okay, so we have finally made it. I cannot believe it. 12 whole days I've been in the process of making this. Let's switch this device off. I'll open this up. Now I've got this plate in here because I wanted to make sure that the bags with the beef inside kept way down. I didn't want them floating up above the surface of the water. Okay, let's take out this big lump right here. Wow. I am excited to try this. So let us come in right here and just slice in and have a look. Wow, look at that. Woo. Oh wow, and that is so succulent, so tender. But the real test is it better than corned beef from the can? So let's open this bad boy up and compare. Woo! These 2 things look like very different beasts. If I cut this open, it's just mush. Woo! It's totally not the same thing. So let's now try and make a Nigerian corned beef stew, 2 different types, and compare and see which one overall is better. Okay, so I'm back. And I've already put on the stove behind me some of the canned corned beef inside the red stew, the traditional red stew. And if you don't know what the red stew is because you haven't watched any of my videos before, go and check out one of the past videos. I'll put a link right here so you can go back and check for the recipe. So I've already made some of that red stew up and I've crumbled some of the beef, or the corned beef, and I've crumbled up some of the corned beef from the can into that. I'm going to basically chop up some of the corned beef made from scratch, and I'm also going to do the same thing and put it into the red stew that I've already made up. So first thing is to add some of the stew into this other pot. So now I'm going to put up a bit of heat, chop this up and pour it in. And then finally we're going to compare the 2. So this pinky red colour is from the cure. So often cured meats, hams, even beef keep this slight colour. I can't remember the reason why, but just in case people are looking and going, whoa, that doesn't look cooked. Now everything is cooked. The stew is already cooked and the beef, obviously after 2 days, is already cooked. So I'm just going to leave this in there for 3 or 4 minutes and then we can serve up and finally try the taste test. Okay guys, it's time to serve up. So first I've got the traditional, what I've always known as Nigerian corned beef stew. And very sloppy, I guess. And then this is the upgraded 10-day cured corned beef, 2 days sous vide, real lumps of meat. Now, when I grew up eating corned beef stew, we'd eat it with all sorts of things. You can have it with yam, but today I'm actually going to use bread to eat it with to try these 2. Okay, I've got my wholemeal bread, keeping it healthy, and we're going in with our hands. So first, the traditional one. Do you know what? Taking meat out of the can, it doesn't look too appetizing, and the idea of it actually isn't that appealing, but this takes me back. This is actually really good. So now, is the upgraded Nigerian corned beef stew the way to go? Oh, I have to try one more bite before I can give my final thoughts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, you're not going to believe this, but the traditional Nigerian corned beef stew with beef from a can wins. I can't believe it. But let me explain. The reason it wins is actually because of what the complete dish is. After curing meat for 10 whole days, cooking for 2 whole days, actually feels a bit of a waste to then cover some of that just lovely flavor of that meat by putting it in the stew. Actually just eating the meat when it comes fresh out of the sous vide box, actually just eating the meat just on its own, it tasted great, and there is no way, if you were just judging the meat itself, that I would ever choose the corned beef out of a tin over the one that I made myself. But yes, actually putting it into this dish, it feels like this tastes better. Just maybe it's what I'm used to, maybe it's just something to do with the way that the texture holds, it's more fine. Maybe, I don't know, the beef from the can, maybe it's a bit more salty as well, strangely. So it works better in this dish. I'll be using that beef for sure, but I think it's going to make some pretty damn good beef Reuben sandwiches rather than Nigerian corned beef stew. There you have it. I never would have thought that would have been the result. But thank you guys for watching, being with me for these last 12 days. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and press the bell notification button if you want to be alerted when more videos come out. Thank you very much. See you next time on Nigerian Kitchen.